If you hadn't heard mention, there are some protests planned around the DNC in Denver. The city's been wrestling with everything from parade permits to secret detention centers. Evidently, one way to make a secret detention center secret is to put it in a random warehouse area, virtually impossible to find, but not totally impossible. Thanks to a blogger called George in Denver and Denver's local CBS affiliate, the location was discovered, and on Friday the 15th of August, protest organizers gave a press conference at the no longer quite so secret detention center and talked about their concerns for, their plans for, and their views of the actions to come.
Behind us right now is they're calling it a process facility. It's a detention center for people arrested during the DNC at the DNC protests. And we're out here today because it's an embarrassment and it's a wrong to be so much effort being put into preparing for arresting so many people. You know, they're getting this $50 million security budget and they're going to have to use it somehow, and they're going to use it against us regardless of whether or not we do anything wrong.
Well, we want to draw public attention to this facility that they're setting up because we consider it, not only is it a waste of money, but it's also being put in a very poor community that surrounds this area, that's primarily people of color, who weren't even asked if they would like to have this thing in their community. You know, they're not going to put something like this in Cherry Creek without talking to the people in Cherry Creek. And also the fact that the facility is not even set up to hold people. They wouldn't even put electronic equipment in here because they fear what would happen to it and it being damaged, but they're willing to house people here.
There are people in our movement who range from, some are teenagers, some are in their 70s and 80s. This is a movement based not on demographics, but on a commitment to building a different kind of society.
We're in a very peculiar period in history, and we're heading into uncharted water where there may be a black man be the next president. And even if that doesn't happen, at least it is historical in the sense that he has the nomination of one of the twin parties that represent the system, the capitalist system that we're under. So I can understand that there's a great deal of positive sentiment around that, that sort of social progress. But the social progress is superficial on one hand, right? Because he's black, but he hasn't run on the platform of being black. He's been race neutral. If you look at all of his ads, he shows his white family, and talks about their struggles. He doesn't talk about his African side of himself, nor does he address issues that affect black people on a daily basis.
Every 4 years, we get nowhere. If you remember, in 1992, Bill Clinton was supposed to be the great Democratic hope. He campaigned on a promise of putting people first, and then for 8 years he governed putting corporations first. The same thing happens every 4 years, no matter who gets elected.
The people who come out to the protest is in no way an indication of the willingness of people of color to protest. It's just because of the ability of people from white middle-class backgrounds to actually travel to places to protest.
The kind of thing we're trying to build now began in Seattle in 1999, and it could have been so much more, except 9/11 gave the powers that be the excuse to crack down. And for the past 8 years, we've seen a full frontal attempt to criminalize dissent in this country, to equate dissent with criminality or even with terrorism. And part of what we're doing here is fighting back against that. We are reasserting our rights under the Constitution to engage in the political process. George Bush is telling people what the political process means is you go into a voting booth every couple of years and otherwise leave things to us. And we're saying no. If we're having to have meaningful democracy in this country, it means we take part in the political process every day. and fully in the decisions that affect our lives.
I mean, I don't want to speculate too much, but I don't have very high hopes for the behaviors of the Denver Police Department and their officers. They're a very brutal department, and I mean that was showcased in the case of John Haney when undercover officers, just beat the crap out of this guy and knocked his teeth out for doing nothing more than walking down the street. And those are the type of officers that are in the Denver Police Department. And so we're worried that just walking down the street is going to get us beat up and thrown in jail.
In the midst of all this secrecy, I had found myself accidentally, trespassing on the grounds of the Pepsi Center a week or so ago after the latest media walkthrough. Before being told that since the tour was over and I no longer had a pass to be on the grounds, I got some shots of the area cordoned off to be the free speech zone.
Did you let your credentials?
Then I was given a golf cart ride back to my car. Some protesters are not planning on using the site at all, preferring to protest in more visible areas, not fenced in, even if it means less proximity to the convention. In the meantime, this is Corinne McDermott, reporting from an undisclosed location in Denver. Okay, it's my apartment.